here's hoping that there's no naked ladies in this trailer here. Alright.
Do you mean hoping that there are naked ladies?
Nope, I'm hoping there's not.
Okay.
Because there were last time and we blocked it and then the video got demonetized by YouTube despite the fact that we blocked it. We didn't just block the girl's butt, we blocked her whole body and it still got demonetized. And I'm like, I don't understand, YouTube. I don't understand this rule of yours. Anyway, I enjoyed that trailer and I enjoyed Enter the Girl Dragon. I would like to.
I got a funny feeling. I got a funny feeling. Yeah.
Coronavirus trailer, here we go. Ram Gopal Varma, starring Agasthya Manju, I believe. It says latest movie trailers 2020. This is from RGV's YouTube channel. I know that a number of you are like, RGV used to do amazing stuff and now it's blah, blah, blah. I heard the comments, so now let's set that aside and let's just take this at face value and judge it for what it is.
Okay.
Together. I'm cautiously optimistic going into this.
బ్రేకింగ్ న్యూస్ చూస్తున్నాం తెలంగాణలో కరోనా పాజిటివ్ కేసుల సంఖ్య భారీగా పెరిగింది.
హైదరాబాద్ లో కరోనా పాజిటివ్ కేసులు పెరగడంలో నిన్ననే హైయెస్ట్.
Oh God. Oh no.
టాబ్లెట్ వేసుకున్నాలే తగ్గిపోతుంది.
You don't look fine.
Is that a hand sanitizer?
శాంతి రాత్రి అంతా తగ్గుతూనే ఉంది నాన్న. మా రూమ్ వరకు వినిపిస్తుంది.
అవునండి.
Stay in your room.
జలుబుందా?
కొంచెం గొంతు నొప్పి కూడా.
Oh no, dude.
పరిసి కరోనా కాదుగా.
తమాషా ఉందా?
If I had any suspicion, I'd be like, you don't come out.
Yeah.
జలుబు రాలేదా? చేతులు శుభ్రంగా కడుక్కుంటున్నావు, పదే పదే సోషల్ డిస్టెన్స్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తున్నావు. నీ జాగ్రత్తలు వహించిన తర్వాత డౌట్ లేము అక్కర్లా.
Just go in your room.
ఆవిరి కషాయం చూడు.
సరే రానా?
Get diagnosed, go to the doctor. Why don't you go to the doctor? Wear a mask. All right, well.
జస్ట్ వాటి పారాసిటమాల్ గోళీస్ కూడా సరిపోతే సార్ అని చెప్పింది.
సో బ్లీచింగ్ పౌడర్ దాని మీద వేసేస్తే
Wow, that's certainly different. Like, okay, so at the end he says this was shot entirely during lockdown, which is an interesting idea because he's kind of taken this thing where people have shot things during lockdown, but they've been mostly like short little things or little videos, and he's gone and made a full-length feature film and used the confines of, you know, one house, one family, kind of turned it into this horror film, which is, I guess, very apt for how a lot of us are feeling. Damn, the turnaround time on that must have been really fast.
This is a very difficult thing to portray, and I don't know that you can best the movie Contagion.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult challenge to undertake. Like, that movie crystallized it best because it's a monster that you can't see. He did his best to make this look like a monster film. You end up turning on those you love, but I think that I don't know. I'm split on how I feel about this. On the one hand, I'm like, this is an amazing challenge. Like you said, the turnaround on this was quite quick, all things considered, because between discovering it and ending up in lockdown is actually rather quick. Whenever he said he shot it in lockdown, that wasn't that long ago that lockdown started. I would imagine it's almost like he wrote this over a weekend. That is cool, but it also produces certain challenges and flaws at the same time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's tough. I've mixed feelings about it because on the one hand, I'm like, this is cool, it's a bold move, but on the other hand, I'm like, this is pretty melodramatic.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it moved me. I liked a lot of the angles that he was employing in the beginning, but then after a while, I'm like, okay, so what else? And you can kind of see the trajectory of it, and I'm like, okay, but so when I go there to watch the movie, however, if it's streamed or I go to a theater, what am I going to discover that I didn't get from the trailer?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I feel like the selling point of this film, a lot of it has to do with just how it's made. It's like, look at what you can do given these circumstances. You have a group of people, and I'm curious as well, like, are they a real family? Are they his family? Like, how did he get these people to agree to be together and do this project during lockdown?
I don't think it really matters because there's less than 10 people, and that was what the guidelines were when the CDC or whoever, or the WHO was first putting out guidelines, like no more than 10 people in a gathering. And I didn't see, at least I don't think I saw more than 10 people in there. Obviously, you have your actors, you have your DP, your camera person, unless sound. You have certain things, but if you have a skeleton crew, it's a very small thing. And if you're all checked out, like, okay, everyone's been in quarantine for 2 weeks. Okay, we can work together. We can presume that no one's gonna pass it to anyone because no one has it.
Right, but you don't all have to like stay together during that time, probably.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're proposing with sports. I mean, at least in the States, is the possibility of having all sportsmen of, you know, whether it's the NFL or whatever, they basically all get a room in a hotel, in the same hotel, and they all play on the same field. You're playing the game without any spectators, and so it's just that. But the thing is, you know, what you're talking, that's another complicated conversation I'm not gonna get into. This is obviously much more manageable. To make a movie with a small skeleton crew, it can't be on a Bollywood size scale or budget of any kind. Like, it's kind of impossible to hit that mark, but you can certainly have an indie kind of film like this. Obviously, that's not Bollywood, I get it, but you can have an indie sort of film. For those of you that don't know what indie means, it means independent. I'm sure by now most people in my audience know what that means, but early on, people thought I was saying Indian instead of indie. So it's an indie film. I get the ambition and the interest in this. I like that he's still being creative even in lockdown.
Yeah.
I like all that. I commend all that. I just don't know that the end product is working for me in the way that he wants it to. By virtue of the fact that he did this, I might check it out. Just by virtue of the fact that like he went and did this. He made a movie, and it's like I can't think of anyone else who made a movie in lockdown. Everyone's doing like these little iPhone things to camera. This is way more interesting than that, in my opinion. We're all trying to stay creative, and he really went and told a whole story in lockdown. And so that's really cool. I mean, I gotta commend him for that. The objective to make everyone a monster, I don't know that that was effectively communicated to me in a way that I also felt the fear virtually, through osmosis. Like I don't know that I felt the fear that the characters were feeling in this trailer. Sometimes you feel that way when you watch a horror trailer, where you feel the fear of a character freaking out because they saw the nun that just showed up behind them that's like freaky deaky.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get that sense here. I could not help but stay an observer, aloof. emotionally.
I got a little bit scared, just that notion of the girl potentially infecting everyone in her family. I found that scary, but like you said, where can we go from here? How do we make a unique and interesting story about this situation?
I would have actually liked it more if it wasn't coronavirus. I would have liked it more if he just made a monster movie.
Yeah, and then have it be
or a ghost movie of some
Yeah.
kind. The whole thing is it was made in lockdown, right? Mm-hmm. I would have loved it if you made a ghost story in lockdown. Not that you can do anything about that now, but
Yeah.
like the objective obviously is to elicit the fear that you get from coronavirus. And it's like, okay, so the underlying objective here is to make a movie that elicits fear. So do that, but it doesn't have to be about this, because like, how do you embody that effectively? It's hard. It's really hard, and it's surprising Contagion worked. But the reason why Contagion worked is because it wasn't limited to a house. It was a full-blown Hollywood budget.
You get as well the feeling of how it spread from one country to global.
Right.
You know.
And I don't buy for a second. You see on the news what's going on, and then immediately it's coupled with your daughter coughing in the bedroom, and you're just like, cool. And chill. She comes out. It's like you don't freak out and tell her, "Oh, you know what? How about
you stay quarantined in your bedroom, lady?
Yeah,
we'll bring you food."
If I'm a very paranoid individual, and I'm gonna fashion a little makeshift prison hole under the door so I can slide her a plate of food until she's done being sick, because that's really scary. Open up your window and let that chick go outside, and instead of circulating in here, and you can come out in 2 weeks. You can come out to use the bathroom. We'll all be far away while you do that, and then come back.
Well, you can come out in 2 weeks or you'll be dead.
Yeah, I know. My point is that I would be very, very apprehensive to just let her walk out and be chill.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that I'll be very surprised by the ending. I think that's my biggest issue with this. It's the premise is quite simple by necessity. It's like they can only shoot inside of this house, and the problem is coronavirus doesn't allow for a lot of surprises.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the element of, well, who's gonna die?
Yeah, is anyone gonna survive?
Yeah, is anyone gonna survive? Like, you look at the old lady, you're like, well, she's done.
Yeah, bye.
There's no way she's gonna survive. But who will survive this? But there's no element of reason to it all. Okay, you watch something like Saw. I haven't watched but one Saw film, and I hated it. There is an element of reason there, right? There's an element of why this is happening to this person in this particular fashion. They're being punished for this particular thing. This is reasonless the entire time. There's no, right or wrong to any of it. It's just it could be you next, and so what? Then what? Maybe that's a dumb argument, but there's no deeper level to it other than, well, how are we gonna respond when this person dies, and then when this person dies, and then when this person, now what?
This movie is cool because of the reasons we said, making a movie during lockdown and being creative and all that, but I feel like the main point that they're trying to drive home, and the main point that they're trying to get people to watch this is it's the first coronavirus movie. They worked really fast and really hard to get this out first, just to be able to say, this is the first coronavirus movie.
I almost wish that there was a monster.
Later on you find out that it's actually a real monster living in the house and it's not coronavirus at all.
Yeah, that would have been cool if there was another element of danger in there that you could not have anticipated, or if it was 28 days later where, obviously that would be giving it away. And if a surprise like this is coming in the film, then I'm glad that it's there and hasn't been announced in the trailer. But in 28 days later, you find out that the real monsters are the other people.
Yeah.
And that's an element you don't see coming before you walk into the theater, right? You know what to sort of anticipate, why you should be scared, but you don't know the whole thing, and you especially don't know the third act. I just gave it away, but obviously, that's what I'm saying is I don't anticipate there's gonna be an extra element of surprise. And it's the same, this is a weird movie to compare it to, but the pregnancy movie with Akshay Kumar and Diljit Dosanjh.
Good news.
Yeah, that one. There was no surprise before the credits rolled. It's everything they showed in the movie, I saw in the trailer.
Right.
It wasn't a surprise in the least. That's what I'm saying is you need to leave a question in the audience's mind of some kind, so that when they go to the theater, they're going to the theater to get that, or watch the film. They're going to get that question answered. That's the incentive to go watch the film and not skip it.
Totally.
So, but like I said, I might watch it just because that's a bold endeavor. That's a bold thing to take on, is to try to shoot this movie in lockdown. I think that he was really exercising his creative angles in order to make this as interesting as possible. It's tough. Like,
Yeah.
I've tried writing films that take place all in one location, and it's brutal. It is brutal to try to write a story that all takes place in one location and keep it interesting. Like, I think I've done it. I have to like really think about that because I've written a lot of stuff over the last several years. Like, I think I've done it, but man, is it hard. It is one of the most difficult things to do is to tell an interesting story that all takes place in one location and like you keep the audience engaged the entire time.
Yeah.
It's tough.